Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Orange Park Town Council meeting Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Town Clerk, please take a roll call.
Councilman Taylor?
Present.
Mayor Anderson?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sandlin?
Present.
Councilman Benefield?
Here.
Councilman Vogel?
Present.
All present.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, which will be led by Vice Mayor Sandlin.
Lord God of all, thank you for this cold night where we can gather to honor one of our retiring fire captains and also to discuss issues within our community. We're grateful, Lord, to be able to come together, to talk together, to have our freedom of speech, to agree and to disagree. And we thank you for that, Lord, for community. Please guide us, give this council discernment as we listen, as we talk, and as we make decisions tonight. And guide this community. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for attending tonight's Town Council meeting. We're glad you're here. Public input is an important part of tonight's meeting. Everyone who wishes to speak about a topic on tonight's agenda will have 5 minutes to do so. If you would like to speak about a non-agenda topic item, you will have 3 minutes. If you'd like to speak, please fill out a speaker card in advance and give it to the town clerk, who will give it to me. Please remember, this is a business meeting. While everyone is encouraged to speak, I have the responsibility to ensure order and proper decorum. When you're called on, please direct your comments to the council and refrain from personal attacks or uncivil behavior. I also ask the audience members to silence your cell phones and refrain from outbursts during the meeting. If you need to talk on your phone or speak to the person next to you, please step out into the hallway. The bottom line is, we're all neighbors, and let's treat each other that way. One thing I would like to add to that is shop local. It's very important. Things are getting real tight within our community. It's important that you spend your money locally, whether it's Ace Hardware, Dairy Queen, Daily Donuts. Keep it within the town limits. It's important we keep our businesses open. If you can't spend it within the town limits, spend it within our county. Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to item 4, presentation, recognition of Fire Captain Jack Barrick, service and retirement. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Today's a kind of bittersweet day for the department. It's one of those ones where we get to honor Captain Barrick for over 20 years of service to the town. He started his career here back in 2005, achieved all the way up through the ranks to the captain level. It's kind of bitter because we're saying farewell, but it's sweet for him because now he has more time to go fishing. So, as we were talking about earlier. And it's kind of a proud day for me. It's one of those ones that I literally seen Jack I was one of his instructors in fire school back in 04, 05. And then I came on board here, and he was sitting at the table. I was like, oh, I know you. So, Jack, come on up. Like everything in the fire service, we have our traditions. And one of the traditions in the fire service is when someone retires, they get their presentation axe to kind of hang on their wall. So you would hang that right there. Okay. Yes, just relax. Jack, I'd like to present you with your presentation axe in recognition of 20 years of service to the Orange Park Fire Department and the citizens of the town of Orange Park. So, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, if I get all the guys to come on through, we'll all get this one.
Doesn't he get a bucket of water over his
But-
head?
That's coming when we walk outside.
And that will be ice water.
It's all over the place. You want me to stop moving or what? There you go.
I'd just like to say thank you to the council and to the residents of Orange Park for allowing me to serve you for 20 years. It's been an honor and pleasure. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mary, did you want to?
Actually,
Oh, yes.
Vice Mayor?
Vice Mayor has.
We have an additional tradition in this town that one of our former town managers started. When one of our employees retires, we give them an orange for Orange Park to say thank you for their many years of service, and this is for you. And don't forget us, come back home.
I won't. Thank you very much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move along to item 5, audience comments on non-agenda items. And Neil,
Thank you, Mayor.
please state your name and address, please.
I'm Neil Bergal, address 2334 Birdwood Drive, Orange Park. I want to address the council. This has to do with nothing that's on the agenda tonight, but Bradley Park. If you recall, this has come up several times in the past, and we're still working on what we are doing in that area. I know it's marked as a nature conservative conservation area, but I'd like to point out that Town of Orange Park does not have a park off the St. Johns River, nor do they have one off Doctor's Lake. If you look at any of the big cities and small towns and small cities, they all have something off this river. Apparently our forefathers for the town didn't have that concept, and it was all built up with all sorts of buildings, Moose Haven, several big properties, Continental, but they never thought, gee, we should save some for the other residents, a little area, even if it's the size of a postage stamp. Bradley Park seems to fill that ticket, despite it being marked as a conservation area. We have no park, and I think it's an ideal place for a park. And I can't see why it can't be both. I've been to national parks and state parks. I've been to national wildlife refuges that met both things, a park and a place for the wildlife to be safe. I think we could do the same thing. I want to keep that in your minds so that the next time an agenda comes up that a park is needed for this area. Our residents don't have a place to go unless they go visit another town, like Green Cove. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, Neil. Matty Hill?
Madison Hill, 2272 Orange Avenue. I want to commend y'all for everything that happened with the flock cameras last meeting. I really appreciate living in a town where our elected representatives look at the research that they are presented with and listen to the community. However, this leads me to kind of the backside of that conversation of where do we go now that the town council seems to have fairly unanimously agreed that flock is not something that is worth pursuing. Because I don't know if y'all are aware, but we actually already have some flock cameras in the town. My question for the town council is this. We have, by my count, something like 8 flock cameras in the town that were installed without the authorization or presentation to town council by the Clay County Sheriff's Office. There are ones at Wells and 17, Doctors Lake and Kingsley, Orange Avenue in Kingsley, Loring and Corporate Way. And I would like to know why the people were never told that these were going in. Why the town council, I presume, was never told that these were going in, and why, if flock cameras have been deemed to be bad for the town, these are still allowed to stay up. Because it appears that the police chief must have put these up without coming to y'all as a council first, or let the sheriff's office put them up. From the conversations that I've had between the police department and a couple of y'all, it seems like this was done without full town council approval. So I would like to see them taken down. Thank you.
Thank you, Matty. Okay, that's all I have for non-agenda items. Going to go ahead and move on to item 6, consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull the minutes? I see no. Do I have a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the draft minutes of the Town of Orange Park Council meeting for Tuesday, January 6, 2026.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. Okay, we're going to move on to item 7, new business. Item A, resolution number 05-26, approval of FDEP agreement, amendment 1. And I will turn it over to the town manager for an update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 7A on the agenda is for the FDEP grant that we have approval for, that we've received an extension on. The FDEP grant is for the Johnson Slough project. What this does is give us until March of 2028 to expend whatever funds the council determines to be utilized as the part of the project. So this is an acceptance of the addendum to the contract that simply changes the dates of the expiration of the grant and our agreement with FDEP.
Okay, thank you, Town Manager. Does anybody have questions for the Town Manager? Okay, I see none. And I have no speaker cards for this item. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 05-26.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion? I see none. Town Clerk, hold the council.
Councilman Vogel?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sandlin?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson? Councilman Benefield? Councilman Taylor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Got it. Thank you, Town Clerk. Okay, we're going to move on to item 7B, which I do have speaker cards for. Resolution number 0626, accepting of a State Board Immigration Enforcement Grant Award. And I will turn it over to the Town Manager for an update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 7B on tonight's agenda is a resolution to accept the grant money that the town has agreed to and was awarded in part of our agreement that was passed earlier in 2025. This resolution is simply accepting the reimbursement of $11,771.50. That reimbursement goes to pay for all of the training that our two officers that were dedicated to it in their 40 hours of training that they were able to finally complete, take care of. This reimburses the town for those expenses. So this isn't an extension of anything. It's just a simple request for reimbursement, and we have to approve the resolution to accept that money so that we can get reimbursed for our expenses already incurred.
Okay, anybody have any questions for the Town Manager? No? Okay, we're going to go ahead and listen to some speaker cards before we vote and debate. The first speaker is Jonathan, is it Glassnap?
Yes, sir, Glass.
Yep, if you would, when you come up to speak, give us your name and your address, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Jonathan Glassnap. I live at 2889 Sundance Court, Orange Park, Florida, 32065. I just wanted to show some attendance and some support for this bill because I consider a good working relationship between our town's law enforcement and federal authorities to be good for the smooth operation of the town and just keeping things safe for everyone involved. And that's really all I have to say on the matter.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Got it. Robert Clark. You have nothing? Okay, got it. Next one is Lex. Is it Reed?
Lex Red.
Red, okay. Please give us your name and full name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Lex Red. I live at 622 Fillmore Street, Orange Park. 36 people put down by ICE is enough. I think last year, and then 2 this year. My wife works out in the public all the time. I would feel much more safer. You know, we just try to dodge all this. That's about all I have to say.
Okay, got
We
it.
need our community safe. After Renee Good, it's clearly not about race anymore. They just want to put us down.
Thank you. L. Woodman.
Hi, I'm Lynette Woodman. Thank you for your service to the town of Orange Park. I live at 2061 Gander Lane in Middleburg, Florida, and I live in a very horrible area. Lots of violence up there already, lots of gunfire, illegal actions, drugs. I'm missing 3 people in the United States who I grew up with. They're 4th generation Americans, and they have disappeared. ICE officers are not police officers. They are Immigration and Border Patrol officers. If you want to support them, I hope the adherence to the law must be as it stands and not subject to their personal interpretation, which has been very dangerous of late. I hope they will follow legal protocols in our county and due process as stated in our Constitution in the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendments. A judicial warrant is required, not a generic Homeland Security warrant. Said warrant must be signed by a judge with named subject accused of specific named charges and is required to detain, question, and search any person or persons in their home, car, business, or their belongings. I'm really sad that Clay County is going to be part of this. Too many people have been injured and detained and abused. They're not following what was promised they were going to do. I personally can show them gang neighborhoods in California. I lived there 42 years. I know where the gangs are. I know where the drugs are. I came here to be safer, and now this is going to go on. And you know it's wrong. You know people are being injured and hurt for no reason, no good reason. They're American citizens, the majority of them. Just don't do this.
Got it. Thank you, ma'am. Madison Hilt.
Madison Hilt, 2272 Orange Avenue. I warned y'all when 287G passed that this was not what our community wanted. I warned y'all what this was going to turn into. Over the last week, both here in the town of Orange Park and all over the city of Jacksonville, we have witnessed our law enforcement officers partnering with masked thugs, ICE agents, to kidnap people off the streets. If you think that all of these people were undocumented, not that that should matter anyway, they weren't. I know of confirmed cases of U.S. citizens being disappeared off the streets of Orange Park and Jacksonville, Florida. You all, if you vote for this and take this blood money, are enabling this. I want you to think long and hard about what you're doing to your community. I have neighbors 2-3 houses down from me that got their citizenship fighting for our country, that are terrified to come outside, that are texting me at 3 a.m. saying, are they still here? I don't want my family to get gone. I don't know how y'all can sit up there and be okay with this. And I'm saying this as your neighbor and someone that has worked collaboratively with you on so many things. It's either blind ignorance or evil. If you vote for this, those are the two options for what you could be, blindly ignorant or evil, and they're both just as bad as the other. Because what they called Nazis that were just normal German citizens that kept their heads down was Nazis. The Nuremberg trials, they said that I was just following orders was not a defense. And we know that you guys have the power to overturn this because Atlantic Beach just pulled the 287G agreement off their agenda and the governor didn't do jack crap. I love y'all and I'm here to hold you accountable. I am here to make sure that you do the right thing. because this is tearing our community apart. There are children going to our schools in the town that are not showing up because they're afraid that their families are going to disappear. Their parents are afraid that their children are going to go to school and never come home. We opened this meeting with a prayer. And as many of you know, yes, I am a pastor. I want you to think about Christ on the cross. And I want you to think about the man that betrayed him for 12 pieces of silver. When you say your prayers, when you go to sleep at night, are you going to follow the words of Christ? Are you going to follow when the Bible says, love the immigrant and welcome the immigrant 5 separate times? It's crystal clear, y'all. Or are you going to bow to the feet of empire? And I know this reaction might be shocking to some of y'all because I normally don't get very emotional up here. But people's families are being torn apart. They're throwing people, and this is documented, they're throwing people here in the state of Florida in a 2x2 cage full of their own crap and pee, letting them sit there, spraying them down with a fire hose. There are people that have disappeared from Alligator Alcatraz, and this is all documented by Amnesty International. There are people disappearing from Alligator Alcatraz, and the speculation is they're being taken out into the swamp because they lose their detention records. They don't say they're deported, they're gone. There are people in ICE custody that have been sexually assaulted repeatedly, and the answer is, according to our president, oh no, it's not rape, because when I said, I am not going to let you see your children unless you have sex with me in front of all the other ICE guards, that's consent. Look into your hearts and see if you can still call yourselves Christians if you vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. Jennifer Jones.
My goodness, how do you follow that up? My name is Jennifer Jones. My address is 339 Brook Circle East, Jacksonville, Florida. I'm here as a potential future resident. I have been looking, the town of Orange Park should reject Resolution 0626 and decline all grant funding tied to the 287G agreements, because these funds enable harm, federal immigration enforced, undermine community trust. It sidesteps accountability and it diverts local resources away from genuine public safety needs. Accepting this grant does not make Orange Park safer. It makes the town complicit in deportation systems that causes documented harm while insulating decision makers from responsibility. First, reimbursement is not accountability. The Florida State Board of Immigration Enforcement grant does not reduce taxpayer harm. It simply repackages it. These are still public dollars. The reimbursement structure allows the town to create distance from the outcome while actively enabling ICE enforcement. By accepting this funding, Orange Park avoids the core question it should be asking. Should local police be involved in immigration enforcement at all? Second, 287G agreements erode public safety by destroying trust. When local policing is fused with federal immigration enforcement, immigrants and mixed status families become afraid to report crimes. Witnesses and victims avoid law enforcement. Community cooperation drops and everyone becomes less safe. This is not theoretical. Police departments across the country have ended 287G participation for this exact reason. Public safety depends on trust, not fear. Third, Orange Park must own its role, not hide behind grants. Accepting this fund allows the town to benefit from ICE cooperation while avoiding the responsibility for the human consequences. Detentions without food or water, wrongful deportations, and families being torn apart. You cannot claim to be neutral while actively participating. You cannot claim distance while cashing the check. If Orange Park continues 287G, and must fully own its decision politically, financially, and morally. This is not abstract. Northeast Florida is already deeply entangled in the deportation detention pipeline, from historical abuses like Baker concentration camp to detention expansion attempts at Camp Blanding and new regional facilities. Orange Park does not need to exist outside of the system because it contributes to it. Meanwhile, national leadership is moving away from ICE entanglement. Cities across the country have recognized that immigration enforcement is not local policing function and have chosen community stability over scapegoat. At a time when residents are struggling with housing costs, underfunded schools, healthcare access, and infrastructure needs, Orange Park is choosing to invest in political capital and police resources into a program that fuels fear instead of solving real problems. The requests are simple: vote no on a resolution 0626. 2, end Orange Park's participation in 287G. 3, terminate cooperation between the Orange Park Police and ICE. 4, redirect the resources towards true community safety. Accepting this grant does not absolve responsibility, it deepens it. The language of reimbursement cannot erase the human cost of deportation. Orange Park must decide whether it will protect its people or profit from their removal. Reject the grant, and 287G, choose accountability.
Thank you. Annie Burris.
Hi, I'm Annie Burris of 2890 Burris Road, Orange Park, Florida. I'm a lifelong resident, third generation, and I can't support ICE either. I was a school bus driver for about 28 years, and I know the hardships it is on families and children. And our children, whether they're illegal or legal, need an education. And every time I've ever been robbed, when I used to work at the Jiffy stores, wasn't by an immigrant, it was by an American. And every time that I was carjacked in Jacksonville, it was not an immigrant, it was an American. I just wish our court system, whenever they give them time, that they wouldn't put a sign on the door of the Jiffy store saying if you rob by gunpoint, it's a mandatory of 3 years. And then when they get them, they only give them 6 months. And then I get a letter saying, oh, well, we're releasing him on good behavior. How in the hell else is he going to be in prison besides good behavior? I just don't understand it. We're putting our efforts in the wrong thing. We need to put our efforts into people and humans, and I don't care what country they're from, as long as they're willing to be here and work here and pay in their taxes. That's all I'm for. Thank you.
Thank you. Patsy Love.
Hello, my name is Patsy Lovell. I live at 2647 Cardigan Court, Orange Park. Just here, I don't want ICE in my neighborhood. I've seen them in my grocery store already. I've seen what they're doing to families. I worked for the county for over 20 years. I've never had a problem with anybody that was not a citizen. I mean, I just don't see where we need to fund these ICE people to come into our neighborhoods and terrorize us. And that's about it. I hope you don't fund them. I hope you don't let them in. We have a good police. We have a great police department. We don't need ICE. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, ma'am. Neil, is it Burgle?
Neil Burgal.
Burgal, got it.
2334 Birdwood Drive, Orange Park. I think that you guys, the city council obligates us, constitutes an obligation to accept this money. Even though it was a grant, even if it was given to us, but you obligate our police chief into having to abide by what DHS and ICE want, whether it's good for the town, or whether it's bad for the town. Right now, this lawlessness and terror that are pursuing against all the immigrants or someone that looks like one, including bona fide American citizens, is the wrong avenue that this country's going. I see it on the news every day. I can read it in my feeds. I hear it from friends that are in different cities. I have a background of immigrants. My grandfather was from Venezuela. My great-great-great-grandfather was second president of Venezuela. My grandmother's from Puerto Rico. I think they're probably going to be the next people on the chopping block. My mother was Puerto Rican. But they all came and they became naturalized citizens before Trump even became known. It is something dear and to me, having known a lot of hard-working immigrants that have been working towards their citizenship for over 20, 30 years and paying taxes, owning homes, doing businesses with our town, and having those families hiding in fear in our town. Now, we always considered everybody within the borders of town of Orange Park our residents. It's your job to protect our residents. By allowing DHS and ICE in here violates that. Right now, what I'm really shaking about is the fact that we've been warned that they are going to be knocking on our doors. Everybody's doors. Your door, all their doors. And there's nothing for us to stop them. If they decide that they don't like you, that you look like someone, they're going to pound that door down. And I'm not lying, we see it. It's live on TV. They will pound that door, drag you out, handcuff you, carry you up with 4 guys, maybe 3 or 4 still beating you around the head, throw you in the back of a wagon, and that's the last they hear of you. Maybe 18 hours later, they might release you. But they sure as all don't let you talk to a lawyer. They don't let you use the bathroom. They don't let you eat or drink anything for all that time that you're in there. You're an American citizen. You can cry all you want behind those bars. Nothing's going to stop you. Most of those cages that they put those people in are 30 to 40 people and no bathroom facilities. And it's cold, and it's bare floors. Children are separated from their parents while this happens. They just leave the doors wide open, the cars out there where they stop them in the middle of the street. It just stays. These people own homes, boats, they're just like us. What would you think if somebody came and took everything and left it after the windows were smashed, the doors, and took you, your wife, and your kids all in separate directions? How would you feel? All right, so that's where we're at. Can we trust our own police department at that point? If I see ICE at my door and they're pounding, they have no warrant or they refuse to show it, they're just interested in coming in my door because somebody else down the street has a beef with me and says, he's an immigrant and he's hiding immigrants. They're going to pound my door. Can I call 911 here in Orange Park and have the police chief come and play ref and say, hey, I know him. I'm already going to be dragged out and down the street in the back of one of those wagons. And you're putting him in a tough spot. I won't have any sense of protection from my own police department if they go with this. Think about that.
Got it. Thank you, Neil. Econova?
Econova, address on file, she, her. We are here to discuss the resolution.
Hold on one second. Go ahead and give us your address, please. We're not going to go with the on file. I need to have the address.
Well, I'm not comfortable with giving my address out. It's on file.
Okay, then you can have a seat. Thank you. Okay, Deborah, what is it? Schroth, yep.
Good evening and thank you. I was one of the people who was here last April arguing against.
Ma'am, did you give your full name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry, Deborah Schroth, 2068 Plainfield Avenue, Orange Park, Florida,
thank
just
you.
up the street. I was here in April speaking out against your approval of the 287G agreement, and I surely wish that you had not approved it, but it was a vote of 3-1 with one person not here. One of the things that I was concerned about then, and I'm especially concerned about now, is that of accountability. I learned today, upon asking for a copy of any reports that the police chief had to give you, the town council, for its cooperation and actions with ICE, I was told that there are none. Despite all of the impassioned pleas that you all received in April, you have chosen to just put your heads in the sand and pay no attention to wanting to know what is the result of this 287G agreement that you have. The last gentleman was absolutely right. I'm a mouthy broad. I'm a retired lawyer, and I always fought for the little people, the impoverished and the underrepresented. I learned that I had to be tough and that I do not brook well with misplaced authoritarianism, and I feel like I could be at risk as well. And I echo his question. If I called the police chief, if I called him and said, oh my God, there's some masked goons at my house, come protect me, that he's going to say, oh, well, I'm sorry because I have to cooperate with ICE because the town gave me what I asked for. Mr. Taylor, the town manager, introduced this resolution tonight by saying it was a simple request for reimbursement. But if you read the actual grant, you will find out that it's not so simple. In Section 5B, Public Records Requests, it puts the town and the taxpayers at risk of litigation because in contravention of Florida statutes, Chapter 119, the Public Records Laws, it says that any request to inspect or copy public records relating to this agreement must be made directly to the board. That puts you in the position when I file a public record request of telling me, can't give it to me, but the statute doesn't say that. You are at risk of litigation, and that litigation cost is going to be far more than the paltry less than 12 grand that you're getting back. And that 12 grand, a little less, perplexes me as well, because I also talked in April about the cost to the town of this agreement. And the police chief stood up here and said, costs will be negligible, maybe some paper, maybe some staples. I think I was kind of getting mocked because I talked about the particular cost that I foresaw. And now you've gone ahead and expended close to $12,000 on this 287G agreement. Maybe that money is negligible to you, and if it is, then you'll have no trouble not approving this particular resolution. But if that money is not negligible to you, then ask why you were told that money wasn't going to be incurred, that it would just be negligible costs. It's really disturbing to me that people, residents here, come and tell you things that you don't know, and we come to you in good faith. And we tell you things, and you listen to us, and the whole time I suspect you're sitting there thinking, I wish she would shut up. I just want to get on with it and go home to my family. Well, you voted for something that was wrong, and now we're seeing nationally how horrible ICE is. They are invading our cities, and clearly last week, the town of Orange Park had ICE operations, not that had to be reported to you apparently. The county had ICE operations that we don't know about, and Jacksonville had ICE operations. What is the result of that? I don't know because I don't know how to find it out, but I soon will find it out. And I also will be one of the plaintiffs requesting public records. So your attorney is here. I'm allowed to tell you that because your legal representative is here. But I will be darned if I'm going to let you take this money, allow all of this information to be sent to this bizarre state board that only enacted emergency rules last year that doesn't say anything about public record requests, by the way. I will not allow that information to go to the state without your telling it to me, because you are the keepers of those records. They're created by the town, they belong to the town, and as a resident of Florida, I have a right to ask for those records. And you're either going to violate the agreement by giving them to me, or you're going to tell me that the statute doesn't matter. So I think that you need to say no to this. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, ma'am. Alexander Barr. Please give your full name and address, please.
My name is Alexander Baer. My address is 2961 Bernice Drive, Jacksonville. I don't live here, but I live only a few blocks off of the Buckman Bridge on the other side. I also have a lot of friends that live here, ones that are at work right now, so are not able to be here. I was visiting my partner in another town for a couple days, and during that time, there was a massive protest outside of a Hilton that was holding a Border Patrol recruitment event. I came back to find a ICE checkpoint 3 blocks from my house, checking people for their documents when they were trying to go just down San Jose, right underneath the 295. I had friends that overheard these ICE agents say, "Oh, we're just having fun on our way to Orlando." I have a friend that teaches English to immigrants. ICE tried abducting her students in the middle of class. It wasn't the cops that came to help those people who are here legally. It was members of our community, because we had no other choice, because 287G forces our police officers to cooperate with ICE. ICE has no accountability, as has been ruled. There's nothing stopping them. I have a friend who lives only a few blocks from here, who works at the hospital by here, who, while is not an immigrant, his parents were, and he got harassed on his way to work last week by ICE agents because he is brown. He is a resident here. If you give this money to this operation, you are directly giving money to an almost one-for-one copy of what the Gestapo was in Nazi Germany. If you give this money, that is, well, passively, still an endorsement of the violence being committed by these people. Whether it be here, whether it be Minnesota, whether it be LA or Chicago. Because these ICE agents are a federal weapon by this administration against anyone from countries that they deem unworthy to be within our borders, or anyone who stands up trying to protect them because they care about their neighbors. When I came home that day, my phone had been off for a couple days when I was visiting my partner in Tampa, and I turned on my phone, and one of my group chats, because of people freaking out about seeing ICE all over Jacksonville and Orange Park, this one group chat had 879 messages in under 48 hours. Because there were so many sightings and so many instances of people seeing ICE trying to take people, including people just trying to eat at a restaurant on Sunbeam. This is plain violence. These people are here just trying to seek a better life. And it's our country's economic policies that put those countries in a position where people need to seek better life. It is unfair, cruel, and absolutely just disgusting to support violence against these people. if you don't take away this bill, or if you don't take away, or if you give way to this funding, and if you do not stand up against 287G, then you are making a direct endorsement of this violence. And can you look yourselves in the mirror knowing that you have contributed to this violence? Thank you.
Got it, thank you. I think it's Benjamin Boatwright.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
156.
Your full name and address, please.
Benjamin Boatwright, 156 Vanderford Road West. Okay, I just want to keep it short and sweet. After high school, I enlisted in the United States Navy and gave them 4 years of my life, and this is the antithesis of what I served my country for. I do not support a Gestapo in my neighborhood that racially profiles while hiding their own face. There have been veterans across the country already been wrongfully deported, and that's on the news. You can see that. That's all I have to say.
Got it, thank you. Michaela, what is it, Alala? Okay, got it.
So my name is actually pronounced Micaela Ayala, but I just say Michaela Ayala. My address is 222 Blairmore Boulevard, 32073, Orange Park. I agree with a lot of these people. Unfortunately, I work in schools right now, and I love it, but I can see the fear people have nowadays. Students come to me all the time, and they're like, am I going to be taken out? Is my family safe? Am I safe? Even if they were born here, just because they're really terrified right now. I've known kids that didn't go to school, and I miss them because of everything going on. There was, I think, a checkpoint on Wells Road. There was one on I-295. There's been stops and Collins Road on Blanding Boulevard and Fleming Island and Green Cove Springs, everywhere these past few days, all at the same time. And people are terrified right now to go outside and to leave their homes. And I see it all the time. I'm even sent out sometimes by people that are like, hey, can you just drive around for me real quick and just see if I'm even safe to just walk outside to go check the mail. And I have to be like, yeah, I'm fine with doing that. And it's stressful, it's really anxious. I'm scared to go outside. I was born here. My whole life spent in Florida, mainly in Orange Park. I love this place. I feel it's safer than Jacksonville. And yet right now it's really, unsafe, I feel. Working in schools, I was scared of school shootings, and now I'm scared of ICE coming in at some point, because now they are allowed to enter schools, they're allowed to enter churches, they're allowed to enter these kinds of sanctuary type places. And it's terrifying for students and for adults and everyone involved. I've seen people who have personally seen ICE across the street yelling at people, telling them to get down onto their knees and just kind of hitting them when they're cooperating. And it's really going against what, they really should be doing. There's different ways of doing things, and I don't agree with what they're doing in general, but there's different ways of doing it. I just feel that, we should take accountability for what we've accomplished so far in this case. Not accepting this money, because then we're getting away with it, and in any case, we could put more money into it and think that we could get more later on, and it'd be fine, just to keep going with this treatment that a lot of people are getting, and just the fear it's spawning in Orange Park and in all over Clay County. That's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you so much. I'm not sure about the first name. Last name is Davis. Please give your full name and address, please. How do you pronounce your first name?
Zuri.
What is it?
Zuri.
Zuri? Okay,
Like
got it.
Missouri. My name is Zuri Davis, address 4870 Deer Lake Drive East, Jacksonville, Florida, 32246. And yes, as you may hear, that is over the county line. But I have a lot of love in my heart for the town of Orange Park, because Orange Park has produced a lot of people whose actions are worth more than their weight in gold. There's some wonderful people who come here from Orange Park. And so I recognize that this is a reimbursement vote, But yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so of him I quote that budgets are moral documents. The abhorrent violence that will come with following through this with this 287G agreement does not reflect the values of the city and the people that I've come to know and love. I have a friend in this community who is currently immigrating through the legal process that a lot of people pretend to care so much about. People whose own grandparents were not subject to the same confusing, lengthy, cruel immigration process. And especially to those speaking in support tonight, I want to remind you that your ancestors literally landed here on a boat and walked in. So you did not have the same immigration process that people are facing now. So I speak for my friend who can't be here because it's not safe for her to be here because ICE has been spotted in this county. My friend is a good person who spends every waking moment giving back to this community, to the poor, to the marginalized, to the homeless veterans, the people that we pretend to care about. My friend cares about them. And they are almost at the end of immigrating legally, and they are terrified to go to their legal immigration process in this county because of ICE. So I leave you with that. A lot of people have already said what I wanted to say. So the final thing that I would like to add is that our addresses are written on the speaker card, and you can read them easily and file them, just like you're about to read and file my name. Everybody deserves a chance to have their voice heard, and I can't help but to think of all of the residents in town who are not able to have their addresses put into public record, such as domestic abuse victims not wanting to out themselves in public record. There are very serious privacy concerns in 2026 with doxing, and I encourage you to rethink the policy on allowing people to say address on file, because that was actually a little cruel earlier. So that is all that I have to say. May God bless you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Desiree Allen.
Desiree Allen, 1827 Smith Street, Orange Park. I wasn't going to say anything on this, but I'm looking around and I see some looks that are very concerned. And I see a look or two that's not concerned at all. But there has to be concern for this, because so many nations are in trouble right now and being thrown away, and some of us are next. It's not going to stop here. And at first I was like, well, and I've talked to some people, and I said, well, we did this training. I was here when Case said that they would not be knocking on doors, they would not be intruding on the people's lives, only those individuals. If I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. Even though only those individuals that committed a crime, ran a light, did these kind of things, stopped for traffic violations, would be held for ICE for 30 minutes. If ICE didn't show up, they would be released. Am I wrong?
That is
Okay.
correct. That is correct.
That's what I heard. And so at the particular time, I said, well, okay. But then I've been hearing in my business that ICE has just totally torn some families apart, torn some people. Now listen, our families have married into some of these foreign families. Some of my people are married to some white folk. Some of my people are married to some Mexican-looking folks. So is that going to happen in my family and weed itself down to us? Because eventually the president or whoever's behind this will get down to whoever they don't want in this country. So as Orange Park, as it goes for Orange Park, we do have to do the right thing and listen to our people. I know a lot of these people are not from Orange Park. I've never seen most of y'all in my life. I don't know where y'all come from, but at least they're here. And so our thing in Orange Park has always, and I say our thing because I'm from Orange Park, and whatever on my grave it'll say from Orange Park, because I love Orange Park. But Orange Park has to take care of Orange Park. And Mayor, you have done such a great job of providing care and letting people know that you care about the citizens of Orange Park. It has affected all these people in some kind of way. Maybe y'all will come back, okay? But since they're here and we're seeing on TV and everything, the vote has to not be for what's popular because the president says so. You know, it has to be for the people of this county, of Orange Park, Florida, where people are standing up for what's right for other people that are suffering so much. That's what I hear today. Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, thank you, Desiree. That is all the speaker cards, but I will say the speaker before this, I don't have a speaker card for her. The speaker before this did make a comment that I do agree with. And I will override that and I will let her speak. So, Nova? You know, when government puts rules in place, they don't think about domestic violence and things like that. So I totally agreed with that statement, so that's why I'm allowing her to speak.
I'll also
Okay.
add, if you said something beforehand, I did not hear it because I am deaf.
Got it.
And if it's not on the screen, I'm not going to be able to know anything that happens.
Okay.
So, Echo Nova, address on file, she, her. We are here to discuss the resolution 06-26, which accepts a grant of a bit over 11.5K as reimbursement for costs related to the two A7G agreements here in Orange Park. For this, I'm going to operate under the assumption that this ordinance is most likely going to be approved, because in a very certain sense, financially, it does make sense to get that reimbursement. This grant program with a deep pool of $250 million, you might as well get a piece of it to refill your coffers, to reward the two officers who have become the designated immigration officers for the 2A7G Task Force Model Agreement. So under this assumption, the question then becomes more philosophical in ethics and morals. Is it moral and ethical thing to do to take this money to refill our treasury after it was this council that voted to engage in a 2A7G agreement? After several of us in this room have spoke up time and time again to almost a year ago when this agreement was first signed in March, saying what the effects of the 2A7G and ICE would be. And we have seen what ICE can and will do in Minneapolis and across the country. And we have had our own insurgence of ICE activity here in Clay County and Northeast Florida over the past week, in which several of my comrades and I have been engaged with watching and tracking and even trying to stop ICE from kidnapping people. And we have seen the firsthand results of these arrests and have been having to talk with friends and family about what happens when this is done. We must not forget that we also have Baker up to the north in our backyard, Everglades and two other camps being run by the state in the south and in the Panhandle. And now, most recently, Bradford County is setting up an ICE facility right in our backyard again. When a community brings in a harmful entity like ICE, we are all culpable in the crimes committed. Every single one of them, every strike of fear, every abuse, every murder, no matter where there happens. And we must acknowledge that all these crimes have been committed, and we must all fight to remedy every single one and bring about liberation and justice for everyone. I do want to acknowledge that the municipalities were strong-armed into signing these agreements, and that the grant program is one of the few carrots to help appease the sticks that are Uthmeyer and DeSantis from removing people from office. It is a difficult place to be in. But we have also seen mayors and civic leaders across the nation push back against ICE and get them out of their towns and cities to protect their citizens. And we must all accept the responsibility for the harms perpetuated in our communities. And one of these many ways can be financial accountability. We cannot simply absolve the crime by leveling the coffers to make them equal. My view is that we should just simply eat this cost as reparation, as acknowledgement of these harms, and that we must simply try to do better in every way we can in the future. to the point that we must rescind the 287G agreement that was signed last year and ultimately abolish ICE here in Northeast Florida, in the U.S. forever. Taxpayers do not and did not want to pay for harassing and kidnapping our friends and neighbors, be it town taxes or state taxes. But we are now forced to this point, and this is the ethical and moral question that we must all answer tonight. And I hope that you answer it in a way that is beneficial for everyone. That would be, do not accept this grant.
Got it, thank you. Okay, Rose did sneak a card in. So Rose, if you would, give us your full name and address, please.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Rose Poudrier. It's 350 Foxtail Avenue in Middleburg. I don't really want to talk about the morals of this, really. I understand a lot of people already have, and I strongly agree that this organization, ICE, is not morally sound. But what we do need to consider is that the economics of taking multiple people, multiple families out of the community all of a sudden, it hurts the town of Orange Park's bottom line. And if you want these businesses to be supported, you know, you say at the very beginning that in the town of Orange Park we have to shop local. You know, we have to support our local economy and community. And I think when we take people very suddenly from their jobs, people who are supporting families, people who are paying bills, people who are financially giving back to the community, it hurts the bottom line, which I know is something that you guys really care about, is the money. I also want to bring into account, we spent this money and now we're accepting a grant to get it back. So I understand it seems a bit illogical to deny this money. It would seem like a waste of money because it's already been paid for and this is just to reimburse that. But what we have to consider is that in the future, the state board will try to expand this department. They do want to get rid of all immigrants. The president has hinted at getting rid of people who have naturalized into the country, people who just don't look white or who don't look like Americans in his mind. I think what we have to consider is that this time it was $12,000. If we take this money, next time they might say, okay, we need to spend $100,000. We need to train more than 2 officers. We need to train a dozen. It only escalates from here. So accepting this money sets a precedent that they can basically just pay for whatever they want in our town. And it's our town. So we should be able to decide what we want our police programs doing. Thank you.
Got it, thank you. Okay, that's all the speaker cards. I just want to kind of give you an idea how this works for anyone who hasn't been here. For us to debate, I need to put it on the floor and get a motion a second. That doesn't mean it's being approved. It means that we're going to debate it. So when we go through that process, I don't want someone throwing a chair at me. So I just kind of give you the process here of what's going to happen. So we're going to go ahead and move on to 7B. Do I have a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution numbers 06-26.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, now we're going to bring it back for debate. And normally I let the council debate and then I add in, but I'm going to lead it off. And first of all, we have the #1 police department in Clay County.
Amen.
And I think a lot of people will agree with that. Would you rather, if ICE is in our town, have our police officers with them to try to help the individual that's there? No, not take the individual away. Do you think if we're not there, ICE is not coming? It's not a choice. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not asking you a question. I'm trying to prove a point here. That our police officers are here to protect everyone in the town of Orange Park. Everyone. I'm not asking for comments. It's all about the safety of our residents.
Read the 287G agreement because our police
Ma'am?
are there supporting ICE.
Ma'am, I'm asking you not to speak. it's my turn. I've listened to you, I've listened to everyone, now it's our turn. Our police department is here to follow the law, and that's what we will do. And if the law says you have to have a warrant, I would expect my police officers to step up and say, can I see the warrant? There was a couple comments about rescinding 287G. 287G. If we rescind it, do you think ICE is not coming? They're still coming.
You can stand up against them. That's ridiculous.
No, I'm not asking for comment. I'm giving you some broad information. I mean, we all see it on TV. We see everything that's going on.
We the people.
Ma'am?
This isn't open for comment. It's time for the council to speak. It's not open for comment.
I'm just giving you some information.
Don't ask the question.
Ma'am, sir, do not sit there and point your finger at me because I will have you removed. This is our discussion. This is our business meeting.
This is how you get voted out.
That's fine. Vote me out. You got to live in the town to vote. Okay, so back to the council. Thoughts?
Just briefly, Mayor, I would second your comments. And I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate all your comments. I think they're all sincere, genuine, heartfelt. And there haven't been very many from the other side, but I would say I've had numerous phone calls and conversations about the same issue for the last week or so. So there is another side to this, which all of y'all know what the other side is. You don't need to hear it from me. And this is for training. I think one thing, I don't know how anybody can argue about training. I mean, I think, enhanced training benefits everybody. And this is training money. So I support training. So I'm sorry to disagree with you all, but I would have to vote yes on this measure. And that's all I have.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I share everyone's concerns. I share the concerns and the fear. And I'm not any different than anybody else. I don't want anybody pounding on my door saying, who have you got here? I've heard something because I sit on this council and somebody gets mad at me. It could be one of you turned me in. I mean, I don't want that any more than anybody else does. And it is frightening to me to think about what ICE does. But, Mr. Mayor, I agree that the reason I agreed to it in my vote to begin with had everything to do with education is powerful, and having our police department educated and in the know gives our police power. That's why I agreed to it to begin with. I do not believe that whether or not we have a memorandum, an MOA with ICE, with the federal government about this matter, that we would prevent them from coming to our town. We just would be prevented from being in the know, from trying to help, from trying to ensure that the right thing is done. That's where my concern is, and that's why I've been in support of this. And why I was willing to say, yes, we'll take this reimbursement for the training that we've already had. I don't think that means we can't go back and revisit it and terminate our MOA. I don't know what we can do. We are surrounded by communities that are a part of it. And we can't lock our doors and keep people out. We can't lock our doors and say, don't come in here. We'll protect who we have here and nobody else can come through. 80,000 cars, better than that, go up and down this road behind you people, in front of us, every single day. Most of those cars, there are only 9,000 people who live here. So the vast majority of their cars do not reside in this town. We cannot close ourselves off. So what else can we do but know what's going to be a part and do our best as a town to try to control what we can as best we can? Because I do not believe that we'll stop the federal government from coming through here. I think that where we have to go is federally for that more than locally, but that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor. Councilman Vogel?
Thank you, Mayor. 250 years this year. We are America. And somewhere along the lines, I think we've lost some of what we started out to be. I reflect on my time as educator. 7 years as a school counselor. I've got some stories, and it's not just ICE related. Kindergarten through 12th grade. First and foremost, Orange Park PD, you guys are the best of the best. I love Clay. Can I say I love Orange Park more? Probably. I support it. I mean, I support you guys 110%. It's a job, it's a duty. You guys took an oath. But when all that comes off, you guys are still human beings with morals, values, ethics. Yeah, is it a reimbursement? At the most, look, it's a reimbursement. Training was already done. We've put out money. But if any of you are like me, we've spent money on things that were just maybe dumb decisions. That's the price of learning some things sometimes, is just wasting money. I think information is key. But I also know the power of grassroots. So I don't think we would ever be out of the know. We're small, we're quaint, we're hometown for a reason, because we all talk. I can't give you the ins and outs of the 287. I'm not. I know a lot of it. I've done a lot of research. I think it's okay not to forget who we are. As a business owner, I want to refill the coffers, right? That's what you want to do. You want to break even. But I can also tell you, as a business owner, I have been on a construction site, and the very next day, some of those guys weren't there. Which does what? Delays projects, increase costs. There's some real stuff going on. And don't think we can save it as the five of us here, but I do think we can listen. And, no, it's $12,000. Yeah, that's real money. That's real money. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not overcomable to say, look, take the training, learn some stuff, do what you do. You know what? You feel right when you do right. And it's tough to say that. It's tough to say that I feel right now. So I do appreciate all of you. I do love Jacksonville. I worked there for a while. So it's okay to be human. And I will be first and foremost. I don't make all the best decisions. But I don't know if you can ever say that I don't listen. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, a year ago, we did go through this, and we did debate this, and we did talk about this. But it's very close to home now. It's very close to home. And it's easy to watch it on TV. It's a whole nother thing to feel it a couple miles away. So that's what I have, so.
Okay. Councilman Benefield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm wondering if we can get potentially Assistant Chief Monroe up here, and maybe if you can lay out how we work with ICE currently, what the training was, like, let's get a little more information, but I only know what I know.
Mayor, Council, Assistant Chief Cody Monroe, Orange Park Police Department. Yeah, so the two officers that were selected for 287G have gone through the training necessary to become the 287G certified officers. And basically what that looks like is if one of our officers were to come across someone who has basically a civil warrant for immigration issues, they can be contacted and called out to handle the processing of that person, that individual. So if you go further down into some of this, it's like expected hours of related overtime. That's going to be as it pertains to we budgeted. I'll be honest, we haven't come across a single one yet, quite frankly. So we don't expect it to be a lot of call outs for that, but some of this money's tied to that. So the training, the expected overtime is not expected to be a lot, and maybe, I think we budgeted in this 11,000 for probably 2 call outs a month where those officers would actually have to go do this stuff. And again, we haven't had a single one yet. So
Let's say we rescinded 287G. What does that mean for ICE in our community?
Sure. So ICE is a federal agency that basically doesn't need our permission to come and do their job. They have jurisdiction over the nation, and so they can come and they can do their operations with really, we can't come and stop them, and interfering with their duties is also criminal. So you have to be really careful about that.
So if Clay County worked with ICE on their 287G and we said no to it, would that stop Clay County from coming in?
So no, because again, as far as jurisdiction, Clay County Sheriff's Office has jurisdiction over the entire county. So even though regular police services here in the town is, if someone were to call the police or 911, our police department responds, but a sheriff's deputy can answer a call here, they can arrest people here, they have jurisdiction over the entire county. So let's just say that the town decided to go a different direction, it would not prohibit the sheriff's office from operating within their jurisdiction in the county in their partnership with ICE.
Okay.
I think at a point in time where local, state, et cetera, law enforcement would
kind of to the point we've talked about earlier, is when things become completely unconstitutional. That's when you start seeing sheriffs that would go maybe perhaps against the federal government's opinions on things, where they say this is clearly completely unconstitutional, but this is, at its simplest form, someone's here in this country that's not legally allowed to be here.
Perhaps about training, and do they have a history of bias or xenophobia or complaints from citizens?
Oh, that is them.
Like, who got the training?
This is not open for discussion.
This will be a tough question. I avoid the news as much as I can. I found that my family and my neighborhood is what really matters. And I don't know that my heart is capable of caring for everyone everywhere. Is ICE knocking on doors in Clay County?
Are you asking if they are?
Or are you aware, is that happening?
Sure. So my guess would be that these civil warrants come out, the federal government's, these warrants are issued. There's lots and lots and lots of them in the system, and they're tied to people and addresses. So I think what has been mentioned in the audience is that they've set up legal checkpoints at different places around Northeast Florida, and they're conducting typical operations for ICE to do that. But I would not, I don't have intimate knowledge of that happening here in the town, but I can't say that it won't happen, because if you know somebody's here that's here illegally and you know where they live at, it's quite literally their job to go find, people that are here illegally and deport them.
Okay. I have, I'm finished with Assistant Chief Monroe,
Okay.
but I'm wondering if I can hear from.
Hold on one second. Anybody else have any questions for the Assistant Chief?
He asked one question.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Assistant Chief, you said was this money budgeted?
Yeah,
or already spent?
So some of it's already spent, okay? So the beginning of basically our MOU, in the beginning of this program through the state of Florida, they said, hey, give us all these numbers. A lot of it's estimates. So if, like, say, we had to look at how often do we think the officers are going to incur overtime over the course of this fiscal year, this plan, and basically give them that number for set reimbursement. Now we basically have to track everything down to pay stubs to when they come out to all the stuff that documents that they were actually doing their job. And if we come under, that money would need to be returned back to the state. So we had to look at, the training's already taken place. So that's already taken place.
The 34.
Correct. But we have not incurred any overtime related to ICE operations. And quite frankly, we're still in the beginning stages of getting SOPs and procedures put in place to make sure that we're doing the correct way.
So out of the 12, only the 34 has been encumbered?
That's correct.
Done? Yes.
Okay, we got a couple of questions for you there, Chief. You made a comment that ICE can walk in here and do whatever they want, basically.
Essentially, the federal government.
They can override us.
Yeah, they can come here basically without our permission. They don't need municipal government's permission to enforce laws in the country.
Which, the same thing would happen with the sheriff. They don't need the sheriff's permission.
That's correct.
So, for the safety of our residents, is it better to have an Orange Park Police Department there to possibly lend a helping hand to our resident to try to explain, or you don't have a say-so?
Sure. So I understand this is a very folks feel very passionate about this issue, but I also recognize a lot of folks here and a lot of folks across the country say that local law enforcement shouldn't be involved. But my counter argument a little bit would be that I've been protecting the city for almost 20 years, so I would like our folks involved in it to make sure that it's being done correctly. And I think that once you get state and local involvement, you have a little bit more handle on what's going on, as opposed to completely being uninvolved at all, and they just come and do it. And by do it, I mean do their job.
With the comment of being involved, what do you think you can do?
Good question. So if we participate in any operations, which quite frankly with our manpower, I don't anticipate doing that a lot, but we may. Okay, so if we're involved in those operations, we're going to be intimately aware of what's going on in those operations and make sure that the Constitution is being followed. That nobody's violating anyone's rights, or that there's no arbitrarily, breaking into people's houses, as has been said tonight. That's just not going to happen. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
I know the news puts a lot of stuff out there of things that's happening, people drug out of their houses. How would you prevent that?
Sure. So I just think you just have to be aware, form a good relationship with the folks that are here working, and be observant. Listen to the complaints that come in. If we have folks in the neighborhood that are saying they're doing things unconstitutional, it'd be our job to go make sure that we're looking into it and see what's going on. I think it's important if we establish these relationships that we can reach out to whoever the local, ICE supervisor might be and say, hey, we had questions about this, and see if we can't get a good working relationship to prevent things from happening here that have maybe happened other places in the country.
Okay, anybody else have anything for the chief? No, sir. Okay, thank you, chief.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
wondering if we can get Ms. Hodges, I don't know, opinion on the constitutionality. How do we move forward? Is there any feedback that you can give?
I mean, not really. As Chief Assistant said, these are federal agents that have their own charge. But what you control is the memorandum of agreement that you entered into. There is an exit clause in that agreement. Correct, Chief Assistant? Right, so as a town, if at any point you're uncomfortable with anything that's happening, you can terminate the agreement. You just gotta follow those terms, right? There's some notice provisions in that agreement. But, in terms of federal officers have federal charges, and the officers, correct, your local officers cannot interfere with that. That's two separate things. So I think it's your policy call. All of this is policy. And so there's not really much legal that I can lend to you, because it's really just policy. As a town, you're agreeing to assist these federal officers, like all the other towns. And so that's, your choice as a town to do. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you. I have one more comment.
Okay.
And I said this in the last meeting, government's a funny thing. When you give them power, it's real difficult to get that power away from them. And unchecked authority is dangerous. I would sit here hoping that our police department would be involved and would be helping do the right thing no matter what. We put faith in our police officers to protect us all the time. We put faith in the fire department to show up. I mean, if ICE is going to be here either way, wouldn't we want our people on our side? No? Just let ICE go unchecked. And that can be rhetorical. I don't want you guys to get in trouble for responding. Do we just open the door and say, ICE, come on in, do what you're going to do? You're going to do it anyway. Yeah, and I'm not sure I view it that way, that we're helping ICE. I feel the other way, that I'd rather be involved.
Keep it down.
I'd rather have some involvement than no involvement, is kind of how I feel.
Ma'am, we're not here to discuss. No, there's no discussion.
I said it was rhetorical.
Chief Chief, I just come up with a question I have for you. How is a warrant issued? What's it issued on? And I'm not trying to lead you. Is warrants issued on felonies or immigration status?
Sure, good question. So basically, the way it stands for your general criminal warrants are, as it is before, take out the whole ICE thing. Essentially, a detective or an investigator has done work and obtained probable cause to get a warrant for someone's arrest that gets put into a national database, or basically if any law enforcement comes in contact with this person, they're to be held and arrested on those charges. And there's a lot of different pieces to that, if it's national extradition or local extradition only or those types of things. But the same applies to the civil warrants. So in that same system, that same database exists civil warrants that will pop up if we have an encounter with somebody that has a civil warrant as it pertains to immigration. Now, like I said, they've been in the system for quite a while, and our officers are out there being proactive, and we've yet to come across them. But it's happening, it's out there. So the officer would have a contact with that person, they'd run that person's name to see if they're wanted for any crimes, and that would pop up.
Okay, say you do pull someone over, there is a warrant. What is our process? What do we put in place to start doing what we've agreed to?
Sure, great question. So we're in the beginning stages of putting that SOP together. So the two officers have received the training. They're working with us in administration, the sergeants of the state of Florida, to look at what other policies and procedures of other police departments and sheriff's offices across the country to make sure we have a good system in place. But I would say the most important thing is that we verify in every which way possible that that person that we are with is indeed the person that has a civil warrant. And I think if there's any question as to whether they are or not, there's different things out there, fingerprint scanners and different things like that that could be potentially used to see if they are indeed the person. Because I'll tell you, the last thing that any law enforcement officer ever wants to do is put somebody in jail that don't belong there, or that doesn't have a warrant or doesn't. Well,
Okay,
that's how I feel.
Got it. So when we initially agreed to 287G, it was stated that if we were to pull someone over and they had an active warrant, that we were to hold them for 30 minutes, and if authorities did not arrive, then we are, basically you can let them go.
Correct. So what's put in place as we speak now, because we don't have an SOP put in place, is that we were still kind of relying on ICE to respond. And if ICE doesn't respond in 30 minutes, we're not going to be continuing to hold this person. We'll document the contact we had with them, where we met them, and what information we got. Then they'll be released. So when we have the 287G officers, they'll be subject to call out to come out and to process those arrests.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this is going to answer the question in the audience, but I'll address it. So we'll handle the processing here at the police department, inside the police car with all the information. We'll handle the warrant. We usually transport back to the police station to make sure that everything's all verified, and then we transport to the jail, who handles the detainment.
Okay. Did you have something?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, Chief, thank you. You know, before I put this up for vote, I know there's a few out there made some comments, and I have to tell you, people who know me, most of you don't, I have dedicated myself to the residents of our town to do the right thing for the last 6 years, and I have done that. And with everything, you have to weigh everything and look and go, what's the right thing for our residents? On one hand, I look and go, ICE can walk in here and do whatever they want, anytime they want. And we're gonna have to sit here and let them. So what do we do? Where do we go? And I don't think anyone has an answer for that, because you see everything that everyone's going through. The last thing I want is one of our residents hurt. The safety of our residents are the number one thing for the council itself. But I'm not 100% sold that by disapproving a grant is going to make that any better. I'm not sure.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Council, I think that whether or not we approve this, accepting this grant tonight or not, which when we agreed to the MOA in the spring, it was with the knowledge that we would get a grant from the state, because the state asked our police force to do this, asked the town to do this. I don't think that whether or not we accept this grant, it will not affect at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Hodges, but I don't think it would affect our memorandum of agreement. Thank you. That's what I thought. And I think what most of these people are here for is because that's really what they would like for us to do away with. And I'm not sure that at this moment that's the right thing to do either, but it is something that we could perhaps bring back and discuss at another time. Because, again, I share the concern. I don't want any of it either. I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to occur in this town what's occurred in other cities. But I do not know how to stop it. I do not know how, in making policy for as a town council, we stop the federal government from what they're determined to do. And that is where my dilemma comes in, not so much whether or not we accept this grant that will at least reimburse us for the training that our officers have taken. And if we, with the MOA that's in place with the Department of Homeland Security at this time, we have a little chance. It may be a small chance, but we have a little chance of being included. Our officers know so many of us in this town, and they know this town, and they know our neighborhoods. And I feel so good about them, and they want us protected. I just hate to do away with the power to be informed and to be included. Anyway, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any other discussion?
Just a quick comment.
Go ahead.
It is nice to hear that it's not 12,000, it's only 3,400 for the training, if it's not accepted. But I don't disagree with Vice Mayor. I mean, I think it's okay. I think last year when this was brought to us, we felt like we knew we had expectations of how this would happen or what would happen. And I think it's okay to bring something back and go, you know what, can we just have a conversation again about it? And I don't think that's wrong. That's how things get done, is having conversations. There was a comment about Atlantic Beach. I don't have that information, but look, at the end of the day, yes, federal government is going to do what it wants to do. Public is going to raise their prices no matter what we say about it. It's just going to happen. But I don't think that it's ever too late to say, hey, can we go back and just look at this? Now that it's been a year, we have some more information. Let's just talk about it. Let's see what's out there. And I think that's okay. So that's, look, if it goes yes, you get reimbursed. If it goes no, you're out $3,400. And but beyond this, I think it's okay to have another conversation.
Okay. One last round. Anything else?
I have one question. Is there a deadline to accept the money for the grant?
Grant activity is 6/30 of 26. June
June.
30th of 26.
We'd be opening a window where we track expenses. There'd be reporting.
Yeah.
So what happens if we say no to this tonight? Does the offer still exist from the federal government?
This is the state offer.
State?
Well, this comes from the state. Mr. Wilton, would you go back there and stand, please?
It's a state.
This came from the state. This is a transactional vote. This is not going to eliminate ICE. This isn't going to fight ICE off. It's to reimburse money. Okay. Nothing else? Anything else?
No, I was just getting clarification on Councilman Benefit's
Okay.
question. If they're, I think it's a valid question.
If we tabled it
If we tabled it and said,
and talked about it again.
and you have till June.
Now, I'm hearing a couple different options here. I'm hearing we could table and bring it back. Or you could vote on it tonight. By tabling, what are you looking for? To get more information?
I think I personally would want to review the whole program. Would want to look at the whole program in more detail and not just the $12,000 transaction.
And what out of the program are you looking for?
I don't know. I mean,
Our portion of the program, or?
I guess I understand our portion. If our officers encounter someone with a civil warrant, it's our job to report them to ICE and hold them for 30 minutes. That's what I understand it to be. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Are you entertaining tabling?
I mean,
If you're not entertaining cabling, then I need to pass it to the clerk for a vote.
I would support the table for further information.
Okay, there's one. The rest of you?
I guess I just want to make sure we're not signing any more of our rights away by accepting $12,000 or $3,400. I don't know if further discussion is going to clarify any of that.
Mr. Mayor, I did not read this document in that way. Like you, I read this as a transactional document, and at this point, the $771, whatever, and change, is for projected cost, of which so far we've incurred so far about $3,400. And that we'll be able to get our $3,400 back from this grant. I do not think that has much of anything at this point to do with whether or not we want our MOA rescinded regarding ICE. I think that's a different discussion and a different decision. That's my opinion.
And you are correct there. 287G cannot be descended tonight. We have to put it on the agenda for discussion to descend.
Well, and it's our MOA regarding
Correct.
287G.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
But you are correct there.
I mean, Mr. Mayor, I would just say, I'm not in support of tabling it. I mean, the assistant police chief said he hadn't even had a single case, so I don't know what we're going to study if there hasn't even been a single case. I guess we could wait a year and see if a case comes up, but, I mean, that's just where I am. Right? If that's what y'all want to vote for, then that's why there's 5 of us.
No, I mean, and I raised the option of tabling it as an option, but I could argue against it the same way you did, is what good is tabling it?
Whatever, I mean, if somebody wants to make a, I don't know. I have no other comment. Whatever y'all want to do.
Okay,
However you want to do, whichever way you want to send us, Mayor.
If someone would like to table, they need to make a motion. So I hear no motion to table. That's what I hear.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So you don't want a motion, you don't want a table,
I was in support of it. I didn't make the motion.
okay? Well, I need a motion to table, if someone would like to table. If not, I need to move forward. Okay, town clerk, take a vote.
Councilman Taylor?
So just to refresh this, because it's been an hour. So where we are is like, the motion was to approve resolution 0626, is that where we are, that was seconded?
Correct.
Okay, so I have an aye.
Okay. Vice Mayor Sandlin?
Aye.
Councilman Benefield?
Nay.
Mayor Anderson?
Aye.
Councilman Vogel?
Nay.
Passes 3-2.
Got it, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item 7C, approval of a purchase order for the Badger meters. And we're going to pause 1 minute, let people leave the room. Okay, going to hand it over to the town manager for an update on item 7C.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 7C, this is the approval of the purchase of 91 13E series water meter collection devices. So obviously, as you know, we have been upgrading over the last couple of years, starting back to September of 2024. We are switching over to one unit, one manufacturer. This happens to be the Badger manufacturer. I provided you with, inside of the staff report, we noted that back in September of 24, this was approved. January of 25, there was another 467, and then we approved 13 of them back in March of '25. We are going to one system for simplicity, uniformity, and things like that. There is one caveat in here that I'll defer to legal on an explanation regarding a procedural situation regarding it, but that's what this is about. This is about upgrading the rest of our meters to one system, one use, for simplicity reasons for Public Works as well as overall efficiencies.
Right, through the mayor. to the-
One second
Oh,
there.
sorry.
I just have does anybody have any questions for the town manager before I turn it over? I do, I have one. How many have we purchased so far as a total from this company?
We purchased, 384, 467, so 384 of them back in September, 467 of them back in January of '25. We had also approved an additional 13 back in September of 2025. We have 3,000 total in the town that we need to replace. As of right now, we have replaced 749 currently, and then you'll add another 91 to that.
Okay, and where I'm going with this, when do we plan on having this totally changed out?
Kyle, would you like to speak on that, just from provide a little additional information? You've been working on this for a while, so these are, typically speaking, they take multiple years to get done due to the overall cost, so.
Right, Mr. Mayor, Council, Kyle Perochi, Public Works Director. So we started back in 2024. We budget around roughly $300,000 a year for replacement and for capital improvements on the meters. We've got nearly 800. We've got 700 plus installed. This has taken 2 years, so to do the next 2/3 of it will probably take the next 4 years to install.
4 years.
Probably about 4 years, yes, sir.
And if I recall, at one of the meetings, you made a comment that, and I could be wrong, they're good for about 10 years?
We have a warranty on the Badger meters and the Orion endpoints for 10 years,
10
yes,
years,
sir.
okay, got it. Does anybody else have any questions for Kyle?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
How long, meter by, I guess it depends on the size, but how long meter by meter does the actual work take? Is it pretty time consuming?
Do you mean to install?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they take about a couple hours apiece on the 3/4 inch meters for our guys. For the larger ones, the 2-inch, 4-inch, 6-inch, they take a little bit longer. We also have help from a few service providers to install and plumbers to install those as well.
So do we anticipate, it's January of this fiscal year, do we anticipate ordering some more this year?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Okay. So we're going to keep steadily working every few months to get us, do the capacity that we can do over time and.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay,
that's correct.
that's what, this is not just this is the annual purchase of that then?
This
for
isn't
this
just
year.
the one annual purchase. We'll come back and
Okay.
purchase more.
Thank
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anything else for the Public Works Director?
2 questions.
Go ahead.
Mr. Croce, these are cellular, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are we, the first round was in September of '24. Are we, and I hear the warranty conversation. What, it's early 2026, obviously, but I guess what I'm asking is, are we getting, like, when we purchase these, are we getting the latest technology in the meter? Or?
Actually, we are. They upgrade annually.
Okay.
So we get the latest model, and each of the meters have serial numbers. Each of the endpoints have serial numbers. So we track that all for our purposes of inventory and for billing. So we know how long that meter has been at that location.
So before the 10 years is up, we need to revisit the first set and see if we can get the latest technology again.
We may look at the efficiency of the meter. We may check them. We may see the efficiency of the endpoint as well and the cellular data, because we're supposed to be getting, every 4 hours, we're getting readings in 15-minute intervals. And if that's not working, we revisit those as well.
You, and I'm really looking at the older data. The purchase of the 384, there was, I'm not sure who wrote this, but it said using a conservative, fully burdened municipal labor rate, annual personnel cost savings could be up to $63,000 a year. Have we been able to project that and kind of see cost savings as of yet, year over year?
We have
With the
not.
384?
No, we have not, because we still utilize the personnel that are reading meters. There's three technologies now, so there's the cellular, which is very easy and efficient, and the census meters, that the older ones that we have are touch read and drive by. So we still have personnel that have to go to the meters or drive by them, touch them. So that takes time, and as well as utilizing those personnel for changing out the meters. So they do multiple things right now. So we would see this, we think we would see this decrease or the savings after all the meters are installed.
And you said that these are actually more efficient than the older meters?
Right. So some of the meters that we have, the older ones are mechanical, and the internal mechanism doesn't spin as
Right.
well as it does, so it's not recording as much as going through. So these are electronic, and they are more efficient and more accurate.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking it would be good information to say, hey, so-and-so, we changed out your meter last year. We're curious if you've seen a cost savings on your water bill, right? Right? I mean, if it's more efficient, depending on usage.
Or increase.
Well,
Yeah, we actually.
depending on usage, but yeah.
We actually would see more usage on going from mechanical to the cellular, because the mechanical isn't as.
Right, depending on usage.
Yeah, yes, depending on the user, absolutely.
Okay.
I brought some question, may I?
Go ahead.
A quick question. So when you change my meter out, are you going to put a note on my door that you changed it?
If you would like that, yeah.
Well, I'm asking for everybody. I think we all want to know.
We can give a list of addresses that have the newer meters if people are interested. Most people are not.
Okay.
Some people are very interested, and we're happy to share all the information
Right.
on which meters have been changed out and when we look at going into the next neighborhood or community.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I will hand it over to the town attorney to answer the town manager's question.
Right, to the mayor, to the council, we just need to add in the motion to also approve the purchase, but to execute a contract between the town and the vendor using the town standard contract form.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve purchase of 91 E-Series ultrasonic Badger meters, 3/4 inch up to 8 inch, with Orion cellular data from Utility Solutions and Automations LLC in the amount of $67,737, and to execute a contract between the town and the vendor using the town's standard contract.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have first and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, Courtney, poll the council, please.
Councilman Vogel?
Aye.
Councilman Taylor?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sandlin?
Aye.
Councilman Benefield?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to item D, a discussion of future assignments, and I will hand it over to the town manager to give an update on your thoughts and then bring it back to the council.
Do you want my thoughts initially, or do you want
Yeah,
to let
your
Councilman
thoughts
Fennell?
initially, and then
Sure.
we can get some discussion going with council.
Sure. So the decision, put the item 7D on the agenda was requested by Councilman Benefield, who is the chair of the ECDC, to look for a little bit more direction from the council as a whole as to areas that they would like ECDC to focus on. As you know, my background tends to be in the private business world as well as economic development, and I focused heavily on my previous position with that. That being said, there's some areas that I would recommend that we request that ECDC at least consider or look at. They are not light lifts, they are heavy lifts, long-term, but that's ultimately what we're going to have to do from an organization internally to achieve economic growth in that manner. As you know, we're landlocked at this point in time, so what we would then focus on is redevelopment, things like that. Well, in order to redevelopment, you have to visit things like your zoning code. You have to look at recodification of certain situations. You have to look at all of those things, but you need a direction on which way that growth wants to go. We are a bedroom community. We do have a vibrant business community that we want to support. We want to allow them to expand, and we want to retain those businesses. So a lot of the focus, I think, for ECD could be focused on making it easier for those businesses to expand, making them feel valued, wanted, and the way you do that is various different ways through, if they are an active business in town and they want to do, you can do revitalization grants, you can do facade grants, you can, target to request in conversations there have been desire about having certain, inviting more restaurants and things like that. Well, you need, sometimes in our situation, right, we don't have the land to build freely on, but we can work within our confines. And to do that, we need to kind of have pointed effort, and to that regard, then you look at incentivizing those businesses via, again, there's varying ways. There's tax credits. There's simple, the mention of, something similar to like a welcome wagon. But if you're looking to get meaningful investment, right, the city potentially putting, some emphasis behind that through targeted incentive programs, targeting, again, looking at those businesses that have been here, that have gone here, that maybe are looking to grow, but they don't have land access, or they need help with, getting some things that they've put off over the years as expensive have come up. You do a facade improvement grant. You can do varying different grant things. As we're working through the finalizing stages of the sign grant, that's an example, right? You're helping, we want to modernize that stuff. We want to modernize it. But we also need to look at modernizing the code, modernizing that type of stuff. So those are some areas that I think would be good to give ECDC clarity of direction on. They're heavy lifts. They are extremely heavy lifts. Your zoning code is, ours is very large in general. We have a lot of different layers. Our zoning map, for lack of a better term, can look like a bowl of Fruit Loops, just by the way we color shade it and things like that. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's very intertwined, and that happens in communities that have been around as long as Orange Park has. And by doing that targeted type of program, by looking at the zoning code, you make it easier for residents to expand their businesses. You make it, you don't lose your identity through extreme growth and build out in that aspect, but you improve your main corridors, your main business areas. You're taking some good steps by looking at like town squares, things like that. But also, we don't want to forget about the existing businesses who have been here for a long, long time. You want to make sure that they stay and they expand and they do that. So those are some of the items that I think can work. Recodification, looking at your zoning updates, incentive packages potentially, as well as, hey, welcome to the town. We kind of laughed. We talked about welcome wagon, but given the nature of Orange Park and our history, I suggested the name Bushel Brigade, just as something as kind of catchy, that we have a community that when there's a new business that opens up, they want to know that they're recognized. It doesn't hurt to go out with a small basket and say welcome to Orange Park. These are some features, and then also help them get into directories, help them get acclimated, stuff like that. But the heavier lift, again, is that institutional change that takes a long time, but needs direction. And I think that would be areas that recommending ECDC look at would be highly favorable in the long term. They're not, they take long time. Sometimes recodification takes 2 years, things like that. So they're not immediate, but they're long-lasting changes. And it's a very thoughtful process that you involve heavy citizen involvement, planning and zoning boards, all of those councils involved. So it's a major investment on time, and then there's resources that are invested as well, but for the long-term goal, which is to continue with the prosperity and to help those businesses that have grown continue to grow and continue to do business within Orange Park.
Okay, got it, thank you. Okay, as a council, any recommendations? And I will tell you, I was a speaker last week at an event in Fleming Island, and I took questions after the event. One of the two questions were asked about signs, and I explained to them what we were doing. The second question is, the 17 corridor is so mismatched. There's just buildings. They're all different. And if we're doing anything to change that appearance. So, I guess my question is we still have some empty buildings. How do we get businesses to come here? How do we get them to stay? And then how do we get people to support them? I mean, we can sit up here all day till we're blue in the face and say shop local, but as soon as someone drives over the county line to go someplace else, that's gone. So, what's your thoughts for ECD? I know you're on ECD, you're on ECD.
So one of my early thoughts was kind of, yes, there are some, not abandoned, but it's just open space. And one of my thoughts are, and I don't know if this is necessarily partner of a chamber or not, but what I don't see is any sort of small business initiative. So those who want to start a business, grow a business, is there a way to help them through that process to create a business and then incentivize them if they want to move into our vacant property and either offset somehow as far as leasing or whatever. It's going to take partnerships with some of our landlords. But look, there are a lot of people, a lot of smart people, a lot of creative people who want to have their own business and want to be entrepreneurs. And we should be able to help them through that process and say, we want you here. And selfishly, we want you in our vacant properties. But while you're going to do that, we're going to help you and we're going to incentivize some things on the back end as well. And of course, while they're getting off their feet, becoming a small business, we can help partner them up with other businesses that are already in the town. So that's really kind of my initial. I know there's some long-term things, but in the short term, could we create some sort of small business initiative, Town of Orange Park related? I know our parent counties, they kind of have some of that stuff, but it's more geared towards the relationships and hey, in Orange Park, we're here. The only other thing that I thought about at this moment was with some of those vacant properties, partnering up with local artists, local colleges, and get some of the art in the windows of these vacant properties. It doesn't have to just be vacant. We can display things. We can have a theme. We can get our schools involved and say, hey, create something. Listen, if you're looking for creative, I'm not it, but I am trying to think. But we don't always want to drive down 17 as busy it is and just see blank windows. Like, we could display some things, we're Orange Park, right? Like, we could paint our things orange. I don't know, but I'm just spitballing.
I would say, Mayor, if they're vacant, then maybe we could give them some kind of a break on their taxes for a limited period of years or something for a new business that might start up. Would be my suggestion.
But only if they own their building, can you break their taxes, give them a break on taxes?
Yeah. You made a comment about having some type of program. I think our first step is locally, we're not designed to do that. But the county is. And maybe we need to have your committee sit down with the county's department, see what programs they have available and push their programs. Whether it's a tax cut, whether it's a new business, you get, what, $10,000 or whatever it may be. But I think you need to start with the county because we're not designed that way. And we would have to redesign how we do business. Not saying we can't, but the fastest way that I see is go to the county, get with the ECD department and go, what incentives do you offer that we can offer?
It'll start out as a liaison.
Yes, start that communication. So that's just one of my thoughts. But we've got to start someplace.
Agreed.
Anything else? Vice Mayor?
No, I do have a question. The council passed last and budgeted this year, our little grant program for signage. Has that rolled out?
They are in the final stages of working through the application process in that aspect, so it should be coming soon.
Okay.
That is on my,
So we are going to get started with that to try to help that process along. I personally like even though I realize I think that the ECD perhaps we could ask the ECD to approach this from multiple points of view, like what are the things, like you suggested, Mayor, the liaison, and to see what the county offers that we can do and partner with them for new businesses in the town. And maybe even if we have to do some redesigning, look at what they've designed to help shortcut that so that we know the best way to proceed in that manner. But also to perhaps, I really agree with Mr. Taylor that even though it's a long term, and the chair of planning and current chair of planning and zoning is in the audience, and he might harm me after the meeting. But I understand and agree with the need to look at our zoning code and from in a different lens. How can we be more easy to do business with? How can we be more welcoming as a community? Type things. And so I think that is something somewhere that someone needs to begin to look at. Perhaps what we need to do is look at it strategically, not the entire zoning code, but strategically. And I also know that we're still pending results from Haskell about not only what they hope to design the new town center to look like for a long-term plan that's its own, that's going to require some zoning changes, but also to help address architectural standards for commercial architectural standards, to help give us a beginning of how to move forward with that kind of thing, to help some things maybe clean up. So I think we have some things in process that will give us that gateway to begin the kind of work that we need to do to consider redevelopment, et cetera. That's not answering the question about assignments for the ECD, but I think it's there and I think it's coming. I do like the idea of some kind of initiative for small businesses to do some kind of a welcome, because we're a small town and we want to recognize those businesses. And if we know they're there, we can A, welcome them, and B, Mr. Mayor, guess who opened this month, the last 2 weeks, this business and that business opened, and we want to welcome them, and that kind of thing. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Just as a reminder on this topic, that you could also have the committee look at the reoccurring lien reduction discussion that we have all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
That is oftentimes tied to economic development. When people are trying to come into businesses and they have all these liens, and you talk about settlement and reducing those, that's another economic development program, or it can be. And then the other thing I would add is, don't forget about the procurement side of things. You have small businesses in the town that can do business with the town, and you can actually put in programs in your procurement policy to make it more inviting. You can set aside percentages for your small businesses. Just tossing some ideas out there that are business friendly for businesses that are in the town of Orange Park.
Thank you.
Great idea. I know this is probably going to put the town manager on the spot. We've got a key that's not here, and that is the department that runs all our zoning, everything. Do they have a list of every empty storefront? And
I can get back to you on that as far as it goes.
And I
but
guess
we
where
have a
I'm
pretty good
going with
idea.
that person should have the pulse.
Correct.
On what's going on. If we got an open business front, what is that person doing to recruit? Because they should be in the know of who's looking for what. Like Seven Brew, looking to come here, and certain things they were looking for.
Sure.
But I think that needs to be circled around and bring that department in here. And I don't want to say use the word accountability, but they should be the driving force in working with this committee and making things happen. So, anything else?
Yeah, can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
All this with the idea that, in my mind, growth has got to be calculated, or at least we got to try and plan for it. But one of the first meetings that you were in, that I was in, and I don't know if you know this, but you gave a really elegant explanation of the life cycle of the town. It's the place to be, rent's high, cost to do business is high. At some point, that wanes.
Correct.
People don't see the benefit in being somewhere that's expensive or difficult to deal with. We just want, I just want to make sure that whatever change we do enact doesn't take us the opposite direction of anybody can come, do whatever you want, put up, the micro grants ongoing. I think that's our top priority. Recodification is a long game, but maybe we can look at a zone, a section. I think we're going to continue to engage with the Clay County Chamber, Clay County Development Corporation, and we'll also add Clay County ECD, their department. The Small Business Initiative, to me, there is a group that does stuff like that, the Small Business Development Council. They're actually in the town. They're tenants up here in the Frank Brown building, so maybe we engage them. I don't know where to go on the lien reduction stuff, but Ms. Hodges, she'll help me. And then,
I could, there's multiple examples of that.
and then procurement, I like that. I like all of these things that, how do we reward businesses that are here, and how do we encourage more people to come?
Yeah, to speak on a little bit more of what Ms. Hodges had mentioned about procurement in that aspect. We had put in a 10% bidder preference where I came from that basically said, okay, if you're within the town at the time Center Point, you had a 10% bidder preference that basically said if you were within a 10% you might have been a higher bid, right, than say a national bid, but you're within the town limits. We gave you a 10% threshold that allowed you to fall into that lowest bidder category because you were within the town. So you might have been 6% higher, but because you were within that 10% threshold, that's what Ms. Hodges was speaking on. And then you can also expand that to say, okay, we don't have one of those inside Orange Park, but inside the county we do, so you do a, reduced, it might be a 5%, you're within that 5%. Your idea, right, is to get to the mayor's point as he opens on a regular about buying local, right? Local, obviously, we start in Orange Park, and then you go from there to Clay County, and then, Florida. But the idea would be to incentivize if there's a fence company here, and they might be a little bit higher due to their tax cost or whatever, but we can incentivize them through, hey, you're the lowest bidder because you're only 8% higher, and you fall within our threshold. That's another one. The lien reduction is a great example. You might go to buy a building, but because there's a lien on it of $25,000, all of a sudden you can't buy the building. So if we have a lien waiver situation where we say, okay, because you're a new business and you're going to conform to the requirements of the zoning and all that stuff, we're going to go ahead and waive all of it, part of it. Those are all great examples that you can utilize. But this has to be a multi-front approach. It has to be low level, has to be mid level, and it has to be long. So while codification or rezoning aspect is a long-term, long game, that has to be started at around the same time these go, and it's a multi-phase approach, a multi-pronged approach that has to be done with simple stuff that's low-hanging, options such as, communicating, working with, and then the other aspect is collaboration. We can't do this alone. This has to be a county-wide help, so, and it has to be state combination with also state incentives, and again, I've been here for, just over a month now and still getting all of those, but those are all things that I've had experience before with working with Iowa's Economic Development Organization. Same thing we would do here with Florida's plus the counties, and I've had some of those conversations already with the county manager, with Mr. Crawford from Clay County Economic Development. In fact, myself, our planning director, Stephen Smith, we went and toured the recently renovated and kind of they spruced up the abandoned distribution center that's off of Wells. That's an amazing, gigantic facility. And again, working in those conversations, they are actively working between the county and letting us know and things like that. So yes, we do have a pulse. I can get back to you on exactly if we have an exact number, but I'm sure we can. And that's something, again, as I get settled in, those are some of my priorities, as you know, from the economic development side of things, is to think outside the box, to think outside the normal operational capacities that we've been in the past. One of the words I hate is we've always done it that way. And I'm sure my staff is tired of hearing that. But it's just the reality, right? And we, as you mentioned, the discussion to elaborate on the life cycle of a town, right? You have your initial push, which, Orange Park is a bedroom community. We were designed to be a bedroom community. That's why we don't have a downtown. We were never designed in the old sense of here's the center, we go around here, and it's morphed over the course of time. Well, we are in that cusp of we can go either way. We can incentivize the right businesses and pointed incentives, or we can let it go back down to where all this other stuff starts to devalue, and then you run the risk of going the wrong way. And then it's an even heavier lift to get out of that. So we are right now at a point where I think with the right pointed efforts, we can keep moving forward. With the development that Clay has, there are 88,000 cars every day. Some of them are going to want to pull into businesses. We need to make sure that they're able to do that and that there are businesses for them to pull into. So, I know that's right now is a lot of words, but, that's where my focus is going to be heavily, will be on how do we make that possible. And again, it's a wide range and a multi-pronged approach.
So I would say, if I may.
Yes.
From the committee's point of view, I think that we have what we need to move, but you guys, we don't actually have to do anything as a council tonight. There's nothing that says you have to dictate what we focus on, but, our goal would be quarterly reports back to the council about progress.
Good.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just one tidbit. Clay does have that bidder preference already.
For local?
For local.
Got it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to item 8. Town manager comment.
So we'll start with the Johnson Slough update. As you may know, I had a conversation myself and Director Crotry and our finance director, Mr. Villanueva, all met with our engineering firm on the Johnson Slough, and we've asked for a revisit of the original design plans to give us a little bit more options to, kind of a low-level entrance of what's just basic flood mitigation, as well as maybe a mid-tier. We know what, the top-tier type situation, but to give us an idea of what that project could look like at differing aspects. We don't want to lose the option to utilize that grant, but perhaps from the cost and the scope there, we've asked for a kind of a revisit of that, and we expect to get something here by the end of this week, beginning of next week from that engineering firm. So we'll look at those and we'll report what their recommendations, could be or what some potential options are. But, again, just giving you that aspect there. We've dispersed 3 RFQs. We've gotten the RFQs for our continuing services contract. They met, they scored, and at the next council meeting, we'll have those recommendations for you to review. We've also received and set a meeting for the RFP review and discussion on the committee that's going to review the HR services for Town Hall. That's going to happen this week. And then we should be getting the RFP for the F-150 trucks for Public Works fairly soon, I believe. Is that right, Director Pershing? What's that? The 29th. So those are due the 29th. We've had good response, which is great. Continuing to conduct meetings with town residents, stakeholders, that aspect. Property tax reform, as we know, is something that's on the docket at Tallahassee, and so we're watching that pretty close. I'm watching that very closely. A reminder that next week is legislative days with the League of Cities. If anyone, I know some have registered to go, but I will be there in Tuesday in Tallahassee for that. And that's the 27th for Tuesday. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The big day is Tuesday. So I'm going to be there for most of the day on Tuesday. One other thing is budget season is upon us here very soon. I've sent a budget memo out to all department heads and staff members that are related to helping with that budget process. It's pretty direct. We have some unprecedented times looking down the pipe here with reform, and we have to reevaluate the way that we're doing things, and that's what the budget memo it gets very straightforward. Is we've got tough decisions as a town financially that we want to make sure that we stay very healthy. And that means that we have to change some approaches and some direction and things like that, and evaluate the way we budget and how we look at it. But that's been all laid out. It wasn't ready for this meeting, but it will be on the next meeting for everyone to view again. And then lastly, just a shout out to one of our residents, Ms. Harris, and the Friends of TOP Parks. Were able to help provide payment for a historical marker through their charitable organization that paid about $3,500 for a marker that will go up at Nelson Point as soon as it's ready. But I just wanted to give some public recognition for something that they did not have to do, but they were eager to help, and we have another historical marker, and that helps enrich the history of the town of Orange Park. So I just wanted to say thank you publicly for that. Everybody, it's not easy doing that, but I did want to say thank you publicly for that. So that's pretty much what I've got at this point. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Town Attorney.
I have no reports.
Got it, thank you. Okay, we're going to go to council member report, and I'll kick it off. January 22nd, the Art Guild Gallery, that's the first art gallery in Clay County, will open into T.C. Miller building. Grand opening is at 3 p.m. for the ribbon cutting. Want to give a shout out to Arbor Day. Staff did a great job with Arbor Day, and I think that's the largest crowd I've ever seen at an Arbor Day here in town, so that was great. Last thing is a pat on the back. Normally, I get a lot of complaints, but this was an email came in about one of our employees, Maddie, who works in zoning, on how professional she was, and they've had experiences in the town before, which were not good, and this kind of turned it. They said it was perfect. Everything was perfect. So I'm going to just say, great job, Maddie. And I'll turn it over to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thanks to everyone for coming out tonight, for attending, both online, but especially those of you who attended in person. Thank you for your participation, particularly those of you, some of you stayed who didn't agree with how I voted on the matter you wanted to discuss, and still you've stayed. And thank you for your comments, for how you feel, for sharing that, and for the fact that we can have those discussions. I am grateful. Next Tuesday, I'll be in Tallahassee for the Florida League of City Days with the town manager. I don't know if anybody else is on the council because we can't talk about those things, so we never know who's going. But I'm also going to go to Clay Days in February, and I hope that everybody else will go. It's time to register if you're going to go. So I hope that everyone will go, and if you can go Tuesday to Tallahassee, I encourage you to do that. And then on January 29th, the Culture and Recreation Committee will meet at 5:30 p.m. here. And the Special Committee for Policies and Procedures is on January 30th at noon. And I mentioned that because both those are before our next council meeting. So come, public, join us. Also, within the last few days, all residents who participate in our curbside collection services should have received a letter from Waste Management, WM, with the schedule in it of pickup for 2026. I depend on this for recycling. If I take a trip, I can't remember when to recycle. I go out of town for 2 days, I forget when the recycle was, because it's every 2 weeks, last occurred. So I hope that you will open your mail. It just came, I think, Friday or Saturday, I don't remember. In our mail, it just says to resident, and it's from WM. There are, I believe, probably still copies on that table. They're just a little nicer copy. These are photocopies, and they're kind of glossy from Waste Management. I just want to encourage you to do that. Use it, take advantage of it. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman Vogel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do not rely on that sheet. I rely on all the neighbors who put their cans out. I guilty as charged. I do want to say thank you, Mr. Taylor, for another quick and efficient meeting.
I did what I could.
There was a key word when you said Fruit Loops because I'm starving right now. But all of that can wait because I think we had some very good discussion. At the end of the day, yes, we shop local, but we are neighbors, and there are always times we will agree to disagree, and sometimes we can't agree. But keep the lines of communication open, always and forever. It was a shame that farmers market got canceled on Sunday. It was just a little cold, but I think they could have done it. And was that our winter? And rain. And I'm excited about the Art Guild. See what they got over there. I'm definitely excited for that. So, in saying that, that's all that I have tonight.
Okay, Councilman Benefield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give a shout out to Clay today for providing me with these talking points. Just a good reminder, the Art Guild was on the front page of the Clay Today. The Clay County Senior Center got a $500,000 grant from the county, so I would expect we would see remodels happening over there soon. And then the town lost one of our officers last week, a battle with cancer. I want to say the viewing's tomorrow night, and the funeral is Thursday morning, but Officer Trout, he showed up for us. It was tough. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just repeat the Vice Mayor's comments about thanking everybody for coming out and expressing all their views on this. Thank you. I do appreciate everybody coming out and expressing all their views and their sincere, heartfelt, thoughtful remarks. And hopefully we can all just agree that there's a lot of sides to these issues. I'm also excited about the art gallery, and we're also having, the mayor and I are going to be there for a public safety and public works committee. So please come. That's next Wednesday at 5:30. So otherwise, that's all I have. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, Councilman Taylor. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.